After 8 years, we finally have a new Hunger Games movie. Does it live up to the hype? Let's find out right now.
4, enjoy the show. 3, 2, enjoy the show.
Welcome back to the channel, everyone. I hope you're all doing well. Today I'm going to be reviewing The Hunger Games, The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. This can be no spoilers, so don't worry about that. Before we start, I'm going to give you guys a quick plot synopsis, just so you guys know what the movie is about. Coriolanus Snow mentors and develops feelings for the female District 12 tribute, Lucy Gray, during the 10th Hunger Games. Alright, before we get right into the review, I want to say that I did have such a great time with this movie. It's a big, epic, kind of grand scale Hunger Games movie, and I've been a big fan of the Hunger Games movies since I was a kid. Kind of grew up with them in a sense. I haven't read all the books. I've only read, the first Hunger Games and the Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, which we'll get to, but I really did love the time when we were getting all these YA adaptations of the novels, like the Hunger Games. Like I said, the Maze Runner movies, I really adore those movies, and the Divergent movies were good up until the last one. I felt like the last one was just weird because it just didn't ever finish the movies. But we are back in this dystopian times where we're finally getting another adaptation of a Hunger Games novel, and this is really cool because as I said, I did read the book and I actually really enjoyed this book a lot. I read this book in only like 2 weeks. Usually it takes me like a month to read a book like this. And I will say from the adaptation on this, sometimes they change a lot, but mostly all of this was the same as I remember it, because I did read this like a year ago. It's been a while, so I don't remember all of what happened in this book. But I think all of it is kind of the same. It's the origin of Snow, how it goes from the, kind of the good guy to the descent into evil to where we see him in the Hunger Games movies many years later. So I really did like the origin story. We do meet Lucy Gray in this one. She's a great character. I loved her in the book. There's one specific moment in the book that I wished was in the movie. It's a very dark moment in the book, a very evil moment. I'm not going to give away what that was, but it just has to do with one of Snow's friends, and she gets bitten. That's all I'll say about that. But that's one moment that I kind of wish, the aftermath of that moment. I wish we would have saw the aftermath of that in the movie. That's just one moment that I think we should have gotten in the movie. But the Hunger Games Ballad, Songbirds and Snakes, I was very excited for this one, and I do recommend to see this in IMAX. It does have expanded ratio scenes when they're in the Hunger Games, and after that there's a lot of expanded ratio scenes, so it is worth it in that. I had a really fun time with this one. I really thought this one was great. I enjoyed the hell out of it as a Hunger Games fan. Some of them let me down, but this one was really right up my alley. I was just really fascinated with this one. As I said, it feels epic. It feels grand in scale. And, I think the cast did a great job. Rachel Zegler as Lucy Gray, I think that she did an amazing job, especially singing. She's a born singer, especially in West Side Story. She did great in singing in that. But her singing scenes in here were just breathtaking. I just loved it, especially in IMAX. It's booming in there. And Rachel Zegler, I kind of feel bad for. She's getting a lot of hate right now, and all of her movies have kind of been flops. I don't really want to be rude in saying that, but for all I remember, she was in West Side Story. That didn't make too much. Shazam! Fury of the Gods, which I actually kind of enjoyed. That didn't make anything. Shazam just flopped a lot. This one I think is going to be her first, major hit, because it is based off the book, and this one's getting a lot of attention. I saw a lot of people in my theater, a lot more people than I did see for the Marvels, because I think this one is a lot better than the Marvels. It's actually a really great film. Tom Blythe as Coriolanus Snow, he did an amazing job. I don't think I've ever seen Tom Blythe in anything else. I think he did a great job in here, especially when you go from the good Snow to the descent into kind of evil Snow in that back half of the movie. He did a great job there, all expressing all the emotions of Snow, because Snow starts out as a poor guy. His family's poor, but he has to act rich. I really like that part of the story, and he really sold it in his scenes, especially while watching the games, watching Lucy Gray, their little relationship that they have, kind of like the love story that they have in the beginning. And I think that Tom and Rachel Zegler, they did a great job. Their chemistry was really good. I really liked it a lot. But my biggest standout of the movie has to be Viola Davis as Dr. Gall. Dr. Gall was one of my favorite characters when I read the book. Truly a terrifying character. And I was kind of anticipating how this was going to work, who they were going to cast. Then I learned it was going to be Viola Davis, and I was like, oh, she might have this in the bag. And she did have it in the bag. She's having a great year. She was in Air as Michael Jordan's mom. Now she's in this. Great year for her. And I thought she did fantastic. She's kind of like a, I think it's kind of like a cartoon villain-esque character, and I really dig those characters. I think they're so funny. but actually so scary at the same time. And she did a fantastic job. All the makeup that she has on. I read an interview, I watched an interview that she had to sit in the makeup chair for a long time for this one, and it looked like it. Her little eye, the fake eye that she had, is pretty scary too. Her character is evil, kind of just like a mad scientist kind of character, and you basically fear her when you watch the movie because she just goes for it. Viola Davis goes absolutely like 11 out of 10 for this role. She's crazy in here, and I loved her a lot. Jason Schwartzman also was a big stand-up for me as Lucky Flickerman. This is a very funny role for him. I think Jason's also having a pretty big year with, Asteroid City, Across the Spider-Verse, and now this. He's having a fantastic year. And funny enough, all of his roles that he's been in this year are actually pretty funny roles. They're pretty comedic roles, and Lucky Flickerman is just a funny character. I really liked him a lot. And Josh Rivera as Sejanus was a character that I didn't really care about, when I read the book, but I did care about his character a little bit more here. So Josh Rivera did an amazing job. He was also in West Side Story, but I hated his character there, but I think he did a terrific job here. The runtime, this was a pretty long Hunger Games movie. It's like 2 hours and 38 minutes, something like that. And the runtime really fit for me. I like the runtime. The Hunger Games type of aspect of this movie is interesting because I thought the games part in this book was pretty boring. That was probably the least favorite part of the book for me. But I loved how they did the games in this one. The games were great, so mesmerizing to watch. And I thought that the runtime, I thought that we kind of needed more because you get to the last act. I think the last act is really rushed. I've seen a lot of other people talk about this, and I do agree with them. I think that this book should have been split into 2 movies. Just have the games in the first movie and end that there. And the second movie, you go into the second half of the book, because the second half of the book, it really is rushed, and I felt like the third act of this movie is really rushed too. I was kind of disappointed with that, but I don't feel like it's overly long. I just wanted more out of this world, out of the characters before we get into Snow's descent into evil, because that was the part that was a little bit rushed for me. But I will say the cinematography and design of this movie is absolutely out of this world. As I said, it's an epic movie and it's shot very well. I love the cinematography here. It's a gorgeous film, and the production and costume design are some of the best of this year, in my opinion. They're not going to get nominated for any Oscars or anything like that, so don't expect that. But I really enjoyed all the costumes that Lucy Gray was wearing. She's a big costume kind of person, big flamboyant type of person in the book too. So I'm happy that that got realized into the movie because it really does work here. And the action of this movie, I wouldn't say it's a big kind of action packed kind of movie, because the games in this one, they take place in the past, so they don't have a lot of weapons to work with. It's all like kind of low-key action at some spots, but some of it is pretty surprising. Like some of the stuff in the book I wasn't expecting to be in the movie is actually there, and that's pretty surprising. And you'll probably be terrified of snakes after this movie because of what happens with all the snakes in this movie. But as I said, this arena that they're in is kind of like an Olympic arena, kind of like a gritty arena where everything is just messy, everything destroyed in there. And it is really cool to see the Hunger Games fully realized in this movie in a grand scale, because as I said, in the book, they weren't that entertaining. It was probably the most boring part in the book for me, but I thought this was the most entertaining part in the movie for me. I just loved what was going on. You have this small arena where, everyone is just trying to fight or get around or hide. Such a very cool setting, and I will say I was kind of terrified at some points. So if you're going to take some young kids to this one, it might be scary for them at some points, because this movie goes dark. It's one of the darkest Hunger Games movies, probably maybe the darkest one in my opinion. It has a lot of dark moments in it. It's, tackles some dark themes in that last act, but man, I really had a fun time with this one, and the action that they did have was great. So overall, The Hunger Games, The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, it's another win for the Hunger Games franchise. And they still got it there. I really would like another one, but I know they're waiting for another book maybe. But I really do love these characters. Even though Snow is an evil character, this is his origin into evil. I really do love his character. I thought the whole cast did an amazing job, especially Viola Davis. Oh my gosh, Viola Davis was absolutely amazing. Cinematography off the charts. The action was great. The score was also pretty great. So overall, I'm going to give The Hunger Games, The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes a strong 8.5 out of 10. I really just enjoyed it a lot. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. If you guys enjoyed my review, make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel. If you did see The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, leave your thoughts down below in the comments, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.